The title of this shindig is What is Body Positivity Anyway? And I wanted to do a webinar on this because I think that it's so important that we just kind of take things back to the basics. I have heard since opening Clarity Fitness, a lot of people being really confused about what it means to be body positive. If they're not there yet, are they welcome in this space? And having that conversation and just kind of going back to the basics about what is really going on is something that I'm super passionate about and that I hope resonates with all of you. So hello, everyone. My name is Abbey Griffith. I'm the owner, founder, and a personal trainer at Clarity Fitness, my gym in downtown Decatur, Georgia. I am an eating disorder survivor, and this is why this is such a big deal for me, such an important thing that I want to share with all of you, and we will go ahead and dive right in. So, did you know that people are 242 times, kids specifically, more likely to have an eating disorder than type 2 diabetes? So I want to break down this study because I think that it's really important that we start to recognize what gets more media attention, what gets more hype in the community, what gets more fear started in all of our hearts and minds. Yet what do the numbers say? This was a study of 100,000 individuals, all children, and it was a breakdown of what they were all struggling with. We had cancer in the mix, we had autism in the mix, but the numbers that I want you to pay attention to are type 2 diabetes was 12 individuals, and there were almost 3,000 incidences of people having eating disorders in this group of 100,000. Just gonna let you sit with that for a second, but I really, really do want to draw attention to that to kick us off. Hello, bringing it back to the introduction. This is me and my fuzzy family. I'm Abbey Griffith. I graduated in industrial engineering from University of Miami in Florida. I'm a NASM certified personal trainer, NASM, body positive certified facilitator. I live in Midtown Atlanta, Georgia, and I love it. I own Clarity Fitness. We talked about that already. And I had a really long-term struggle with an eating disorder. So I want to dive in a little bit about that. I haven't really told my story in a while, and I think that it's important that I remain open about what's going on there. I had struggled for a really long time with anorexia and a brief stint with bulimia toward the end there. The anorexia component of it is really what brings me to what I want to talk about with this body positive angle, with Clarity Fitness, with everything that we're doing, because the anorexia was totally unseen by family, friends, the people that loved me the most, that I loved the most, by personal trainers, by fitness professionals. It just wasn't noticed because the things that I was doing and the things that I stressed over were healthy and were air quotes if anyone's just listening to the audio, but they were considered things that I was bettering myself from. I was very on top of it with my workout schedule, very on top of it with food, very aware of body shape and size and progress, again in air quotes. And I wasn't paying attention to how I was feeling, and I wasn't paying attention to how much else is going on beyond the outline and shape and size of my body. And so we're really passionate here at Clarity Fitness to start those conversations because these are a lot of things that do go unseen, and it is a very dangerous and very slippery slope that needs to be talked about and be understood so that we as fitness professionals can help people not head in that same direction. So what's Clarity Fitness? Clarity Fitness is, I think we missed something. Oh, no, I guess that's the next one. Clarity Fitness is Georgia's first body positive wellness center. We have a ton of different things going on: personal training, memberships, group classes, workshops, workout programs, all types of good stuff. And it's all under that realm of body positive awareness. We are not an eating disorder gym. Although I had a struggle, we are really here for anyone who's just looking to have an empowered relationship with their body and with wellness. And that's what we're really passionate about. And could not give you guys enough credit for looking into this approach of wellness. I think that it is incredibly important to continue this journey of wellness, and incredibly important to keep looking at what we can do to continue to better ourselves in an empowering and friendly way. This is the gym. So we have Clarity Fitness here in the main lobby space, the top left corner. Our logo is really supposed to be capturing a mountain or a journey up a pathway toward this higher, peaceful, more empowered place of wellness. Sometimes I like to think about it as like a sunshine behind a mountain, or a lighthouse, whatever resonates there. And then we've got our that's a different part. We have our main gym floor in the front. We also have a group exercise space, but this has all types of our free weights, everything we've got going on in there. And then our turf is this middle picture with our ball slam wall, the outside of the space. The scale smash wall is a personal favorite. I love that wall so much. And that is really what we want to bring attention to when people come to Clarity Fitness. We want them to see that wall and think about empowerment, and think about stepping away from external metrics to decide how they feel on the inside. And the scale has so much meat and potatoes kind of information going on behind the scenes, especially for those who have had a tough relationship with it and really depended on it to let them know how they were doing on their fitness journey. And I think that it's really important that we start to learn to count on that number less. There are a ton of reasons we don't need to go down that rabbit hole, but ultimately the number on the scale does not determine how healthy you are. So this brings us to body positivity or neutrality. I think that that's another really important one to draw attention to. Body positivity is a social movement rooted in the belief that all human beings should have a positive body image while challenging the ways in which society presents the physical body. And then I added, all bodies are good bodies, celebrating your body as it is today, because I think that those are also very important parts of body positivity. But ultimately, this movement, what we're trying to come to is this understanding that we don't have to hate ourselves for looking how we look. It doesn't even have to do with comparison to magazines or comparison to the TV shows necessarily. It's just about getting into yourself and being comfortable, being able to see that your body works on your team and is doing its darndest to keep you alive and keep you fueled and keep you well throughout your day-to-day. And this body positive component really helps us step out of the dieting and the shrinking and the muscle mass and the growth and whatever else might be going on, and really just brings us into this state of feeling comfortable, feeling empowered in our own skin. So let's go to a typical fitness mindset. This is what you're going to see at other gyms. This is what I was dealing with when I was having a tough time with my relationship with fitness. It was about weight loss challenges and tracking and measuring and planning and counting everything. And it was just really a fat phobic attitude. And I think that that's what we need to remember, is that this fat phobia is something that we as a culture have created. This fear of gaining anything, this fear of becoming anything less than a beanpole is really consuming our life. It consumes fashion and wellness, and it consumes the mall and the TV and the movies and the magazines. And if we can step away from that and get back into that body positivity that we've been talking about, that comfort with self, that empowerment, we can really live a completely different life. We were in old gyms focused on how intense everything was, new diet plans, new supplements, and just the amount of pressure that change had on everyone that I knew, day to life, what am I trying to say? Day-to-day life in a separate term. That was what was going on. That was what was in everyone's head constantly. And it was just really ingrained that that was what you always needed to think about, and that it was ingrained that that was what everything always needed to look like. And that's just so not the case. So we bring ourselves to the Clarity Fitness mindset. We are looking for a positive relationship with movement and body image. And we're looking to start to trust that losing weight does not equal gaining health. We are looking at mindful eating. We're looking at internal metrics. And I think that it's really important to talk a little bit more about what those metrics are, because people are like, okay, cool, like tune in and body, whatever. How do you feel? What sounds fun? What movement kind of lights your fire? What is something that you can look forward to in eating, in moving, in sleeping, in relaxing? What do you need? And giving yourself permission to honor that, because I think we are so hardwired from the things that we've learned about when we're supposed to eat and how we're supposed to look, that we work really, really hard to overrule a lot of those really natural, really obvious cues, because we just haven't been training our body to feel them and tune into them. Joyful movement is huge, and ultimately we're trying to work as a teammate to our body instead of trying to constantly fight against what our body is asking. So I am very excited about this YouTube video. Definitely let me know how the sound is if you can hear it, but this is a really, really cool video that captures the parallel to, or intersection of, body positivity and the fitness world. And this video is really interesting to me because they are pitching this video as, can fitness experts and body positive advocates agree? Can they get along? And so you're going to hear some really, really different opinions and some really, really different viewpoints on this wellness journey. And I want to hear out this video. We'll just listen to it all the way through. And then at the end, I am going to open the floor for some conversation for a little bit. So this is where I really would love for you to challenge yourself to step out of your comfort zone, to ask questions that you might not feel comfortable asking. It's not a place where you are going to get picked apart for saying, I kind of agreed with what that fitness person said. Like, can we work through that? I'm not going to come at you or lecture you. I want us to get to a point where we can understand this other side of the equation. And looking at the people that are in the group, I think that that's going to be pretty easy, and it'll probably come down to really just understanding together and working together to celebrate some of the things that resonated. We can call out some nails on a chalkboard, things that get said. Take some notes. I've got notes over here, so I'm going to be taking some notes too, and we will watch this video and come together to chat after. That was awesome. Thank you guys so, so much. And I really think that we touched on a lot of the things I wanted to talk about. One of the nails on a chalkboard things for me was when the body positive advocate had said, I'm happy with my body, I don't want to change a thing. And the fitness guy leaned in and said, absolutely nothing. You don't want to change anything. And it was just like, oh my goodness. This is exactly that was one of the ones that I was like, I don't know if I would have been able to answer that calmly and collectedly, because that one is very offensive and wrong. And he is really putting his own judgments and his own biases on this other person that didn't ask for it and didn't want that feedback and didn't need that feedback. And I'm sure that the guy that he was talking to was in a place of comfort and peace and ability to separate that. I think that that's a really big thing too, is if someone comes at you and is like, you don't want to change anything, just being able to be like, they're allowed to have their opinions and I have mine, and I know my health, I know my worth at the end of the day. I don't need to convince him of that, is the goal place I feel like we're trying to move in the direction of. And there are going to be days where that's way easy and way hard and everything in between. But I really think that being able to handle that with grace is a major win for the program. And he stayed involved in that conversation and didn't seem to pout about it and was just like, that's fitness mindset, and just kind of shook it off and kept it moving. So that was really, really awesome to see. I love that the fitness world recognized the health at every size world in some capacities and vice versa. I thought that was really cool. And I definitely have other things to bring into the rest of the presentation around that. I know that you guys all know about the doctor trigger, where the body positive person was like, we're not even going to go there, sliding on. And I think that if people didn't know, just to give background on that, because I do think that that's something that I had to learn coming into body positivity. I was like, why are we suddenly so upset with doctors? It is because a lot of the medical community is still very focused on weight. You get weighed in every time you go to the doctor. You get weighed when you want an insurance plan. They check your BMI. There's all these different numbers around weight and body shape and size that they are taking into account, but they don't do anything with those numbers. They're going to prescribe things and look at health based on blood levels and based on complaints or concerns you might have, or pains or injuries, or so much more that goes into what wellness looks like, instead of just solely that number on the scale. And if doctors don't do that, we are really, really working hard to educate on the importance of getting other variables. It's kind of like saying that you live in Cleveland, so therefore you must have always lived in Cleveland your entire life, and that Clevelanders are this way, and that this is what your zip code is. And it's just like, you really can't make those conclusions off of this item, and you need a ton more information to be able to get to that zone. So that's a whole nother can of worms that we don't need to get into today, but I did want to talk about that really quickly because I don't want anyone to be confused or left in the dust there. And if there's any other questions about that, again, my email is in the chat. It's abby@clarityfitness.com. So you guys can totally reach out, and I'm more than happy to do more one-on-one time to talk about that. So now that we are moving a little bit past this video, I want to talk about tools that we can use to start to step into this kind of body positive world. And one of those tools is, going back, intuitive stepping stones. And intuitivity is this whole realm that is another presentation worth. There's intuitive fitness, there's intuitive eating, there's intuitive self-care, there's intuitive everything around wellness. But what we are really focusing on is that we're getting to a place of respecting ourselves, and your body is going to send you signals of what it needs, and we have to start to relearn and retrust those signals being true and being real, and not try to outsmart them or outlast them or overrule them in our head. So this intuitive stepping stone angle, you can totally dive into more on our YouTube page. We have some really awesome intuitive eating and intuitive happy, healthy relationship with exercise videos there. But for right now, if we're looking at these standards of fitness and starting to transition into body positivity, the key that we want to get to is this place of intuitiveness. And we are running low on time, so I'm going to kind of cruise through. So let me know if there's any questions or anything that comes up. You can totally just unmute yourself and let me know. But I really wanted to bring attention to this quote too. A lot of times we spend much of our life, of our concern, of our brain power, fighting this concept of weight gain, fighting this concept of obesity. And I'm using obesity in quotes because that has just become a judgmental term. It is rooted in this medical concept, but we've used it now. It's transformed into something that's used to say that there is something bad inherently about the way that your body looks. And we're learning that that is not true. That cannot be true. Your body shape and size and your health are independent in a vast majority of situations. And you can be eating certain things that fuel your body and that feel great, and you're tuning in and your body is in a bigger shape and size, and that is totally fine and isn't something to be concerned over as much as is possible to shift that energy. But what I see so frequently is this weight loss, weight gain cycle, and we're gaining and we're losing and we're gaining and we're losing and we're frustrated. So we're grinding it out and dieting for the next month, and then we say screw it, and then we gain it all back and then some. And it's all because of this goal to be in a different body shape and size, instead of just appreciating our body and trying to work with it. And we've started to see that this gaining losing cycle is actually more dangerous than just staying in that bigger body to begin with. This fighting against ourselves is a very, very slippery slope for a ton of reasons, and there's actually cardiovascular health concerns involved in that. So I wanted to bring up a diet topic. I know, cringy, but we're going to talk about water, because I was like, this is probably a less so controversial one. When we talk about water, there are a ton of things that we are told to think, that we have been trained to think and feel and know as the right, quote unquote, right amount of water that we're supposed to, again, air quotes, be drinking. And I think that it's really important that we start to look at how science in studies is transformed into rules and regulations of the diet industry, and what we might be able to change those rules and regulations into with this intuitive and or body positive health approach to wellness. So let's talk about how much water you're supposed to drink. Science says in many of the studies that I have looked at, because I did some major digging for this presentation, that there is really no one right answer about how much water you're supposed to be drinking, the exact amount, the right ounces. It's supposed to be flexible and fluid based on your thirst level, based on your age, based on what you've done that day, based on how much you've been sweating. There's just so many different components that change that number. Then we get to the diet world, or the typical fitness industry. We have one source saying 8 ounces. We have one source saying there are 8-ounce glasses. We have another source saying that it's 91 for women, but 125 for men. And then we have another source saying 64 ounces. And what I think is really funny is the URLs of each of these sources. So the first one, how much water should you drink per day? There's that should, there's that rule, there's that I want to know how much I'm supposed to be drinking because I can't trust my body, because I need this external validation or this external cue to know that I did good enough. All very diet industry-y. Next one is, can drinking too much water prevent weight loss? That's literally the title of this article. And then the next one is 8 ways we sabotage weight loss. And there's this overarching zeroed in focus on this weight loss concept. And what am I supposed to do to lose weight? Just give me the rules. Just give me the rule book and I'll do it, because I hate my body and I want it to be smaller. This is what the fitness industry and the diet industry is perpetuating as messaging, and why we need a new way to look at things, because we're really learning how dangerous and scary this all can be. So intuitive health, intuitive angle of this water idea. I'm not going to read this all to you, but it's separating the morality from it. We're not a good person if we drink our water, and we're not a bad person if we don't. We are going to be dehydrated on some days because our water isn't going to be exactly flawlessly perfect. But what we can try to do for the most part is listen to our body and get ourselves something to drink when we're thirsty. That's all there is to it. And that is so much less daunting and filled with jam-packed pressure and rules than the diet industry messaging that we're learning isn't even backed in science. And I think that that's so important to focus on our bodies for that reason, because our body is going to outsmart any diet plan ever. because it's dependent on you and your behaviors and your genetics and your level of thirst, among other things. And I think that it's really important to use this kind of concept to start to trust yourself a little bit more. So this is just a breakdown. We basically walked through this, but scientific angle was that there's no real solid answer. All types of things determine how much water you're supposed to, air quotes, be drinking. And then there is the next one of 8 cups a day. And then there's the next one that water is essential for life. So I know that I will do my best to incorporate it into my day-to-day. And I'll listen to my body's thirst signals. I won't beat myself up if my water intake isn't exactly the same as it was or more the day before. So to clarify, we're not saying that you shouldn't drink water. I don't want that to be the conclusion of this slide. Water is important, and we know that. And that's where I think body positivity is misunderstood, is that people think, oh, so if you're not going to tell me how much I'm supposed to drink, then I guess it's not important. I guess it doesn't matter. No, what we're saying, water's great. Drink some water. Have some water. It's all good. But what we are saying is that you need to give yourself a little less crap, I think is the overarching message of starting to be intuitive, is you don't need to add to your list of things on your mind, on your day-to-day, to beat yourself up if you haven't drinking the exact same amount of water or the exact scientifically proven, there is none, amount of water that you're, air quotes, supposed to be drinking. Intuitive is doing your own research, listening to your body, trial and error, asking the experts, asking yourself. So this ties to body positivity because this shows up in so many other ways and in so many other aspects. We're focusing on respecting ourselves and treating our body with that respect. That is the steps that we're starting to take. So my discoveries around this were that more pressure and more obsession and more rules and more rigidity and more discipline, willpower, all of these diet industry terms aren't really going to help. Health should be a light energy, positive part of your day. Sustainable, flexible, and fun is what I say all the time. Those are those 3 pillars. And if your routine isn't meeting those, it's not the right routine for you. When we start to have at least respect or some kind of giving our bodies credit for what they do angle, we can start to treat them in that way. We can start to fuel them that way. We can start to give them water when they're thirsty instead of, I don't want to get up. Shut up, body. We're going to be like, no, we're going to get up because our body is thirsty and I want to give it that. Thinking about a child or your younger self or an animal, you wouldn't ignore a crying baby that was thirsty because you just didn't feel like getting up. If you knew for sure that it was thirsty and it was wailing and hadn't had water in a whole day, you would get up and get it, or milk. Humor me. But it would just be something that you would take care of. You also will not like what you see in the mirror more once you lose this weight or once you gain this muscle. There's stuff that's going on inside in your brain that is going to make that difference there. And you can therefore get there without feeling like you need to shrink your body to feel any better in your skin. Again, tying it back to what isn't body positivity, it is not an excuse to neglect your body. We are not body positive because we never eat nutrient-dense foods and never work out and never drink water. We are body positive because we treat our body with respect. We don't treat our body with rigidity and discipline and rules, but we also honor its natural need to move and to eat things that are nutrient-dense from time to time. And that's a really important thing that I think gets misunderstood a ton. I also hear, if I liked what I saw in the mirror, why would I work out? And my heart breaks every time I hear that. And I have truly thought that before when I was in my eating disorder days. And it's because there's so much else that's going on there when movement is actually medicine and not, medicine isn't the right word. When movement's fun, and we don't like taking medicine, but when movement is doing something for our heart and soul and body and energy and mood, then it's something that you want to do. It's not something that has to get knocked off your to-do list today. And if it's something that you just hate, there are so many other ways to move. So starting to look at other options is a great, great, great avenue to go in. And I also wanted to make sure that we know that it's not this unwavering, constant oozing of body love all the time. There will be bad body image days. There will be days where we just aren't there. There will be years where we're like, hey, body positivity is cool. I'm not at the point where I completely am in love with what I see in the mirror yet. And that's okay. And that doesn't mean that you're not body positive. Body positivity is about stepping in that direction and starting to appreciate yourself and starting to stress a little bit less. And if you got that, you're body positive. So don't beat yourself up if you're not suddenly magically obsessed with every inch of yourself. What is body positivity? Talked about this plenty, but to reiterate, it's taking steps, again, not instantaneously being there, but moving in the direction of starting to celebrate your body as it is today. You can recognize that you're enough as you are, at least at some points, and you don't need to change a thing about yourself to be enough. When we can own that and internalize that, it's one thing to know it, but if you can step into feeling that you are truly enough, that is this emotional burden that's just lifted off of you. And if you think about that 10 more pounds or 100 more pounds or one more rep of this or just wish I could do squats kind of mindset, what if you didn't have to actually change that? What if that's just all in your head and you don't actually have to do anything to be enough? I think that we forget to ask ourselves that question a ton. It's allowing wellness to be flexible, sustainable, and fun, and knowing that there's no right way to take care of yourself. And ultimately, the most important takeaway that I hope everyone remembers is that you are enough. So thank you guys so much for today. I have a quick closing comment that we are doing a August promotional deal for Clarity Fitness where your starting off membership dues are waived for 2 months. So you only have to pay a super prorated membership this time when you sign up, and then you won't get charged again until November. That is because we love you guys and we want to see you in this facility starting to move toward feeling this way, feeling that you're enough, and being in a community of people that see that and believe that and can help you have that refresher virtually or in person throughout your day-to-day. So we hope that you take advantage of that deal or send it to someone who might. We are so excited to continue to offer different promotions and different ideas of things that just resonate for you guys. So that's not going anywhere in terms of us working to make sure that you are getting the credit that you deserve. You're getting the opportunities that feel right and feel fulfilling. And we are making webinars like this to support you no matter what. So thank you again so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.